Today, we are going to talk about money in the tabletop game industry, where it all goes. This is really important for you to understand if you want to join the tabletop industry, and it's also pretty important for you to understand even if you just are a fan of tabletop games, so that you have a better understanding of where your money ends up. And we're going to start with a brief explanation of what we call the three-tier system. The three-tier system has been how the tabletop industry has worked for decades, and it's pretty simple. Basically, there are a lot of people who make games. They sell their games to distributors, and there's a very small number of those. Then those distributors sell the games to the stores, lots of those, and then you, the consumer, buys from your local friendly store. Well, we're going to take a look at this through a fictional product I'm calling Boober. So there's a new game on the market called Boober. You've seen all the reviews, and you think if it's good enough for Tom Vassell, it's good enough for your $100. So you walk down to your local store and you hand over your $100. Where does that money end up? Well, that $100 is not just for the retail store. That retail store had to buy Boober from a distributor and probably paid about $53 for that product, which leaves the retail store with $47. And that $47 has to pay for all their staff, all their rent, all their air conditioning, all the stuff you have to pay for when you own a retail store, as well as any discounts that retail store wants to give you on that product. Whatever's left over is their profit. So now the distributor has your $53. Well, they had to buy that product from the publisher. That cost about $40, $42. So now the distributor is holding on to about $13, and they have to cover all their expenses with that, their staff, their warehouse cost, all that stuff. And whatever's left over is their profit, which leaves the publisher with about $40 for every copy of Boober they sold. And as we talked about in a previous video, publishers have a lot of expenses. They have a lot of expenses they pay for not just their design and their art and their printing and their shipping, but a whole lot of stuff. And whatever they have left over is their profit. One of my earlier videos covered game designers and where their money comes from. And one of the things I mentioned was royalties. It's important for you game designers out there to know that your royalty is only paid on the $40 the publisher gets, not the $100 that was spent at retail. Well, if you want to get into the industry, each one of those tiers in the distribution system offers you employment. You might work there. You might want to work as a publisher. You might want to be part of the publisher's expenses. You might want to be the game designer or the artist or staff or marketing. And if you have any of those skills, maybe that's a place where you can get into the industry. If you want to work for a distributor, now there's not as many distributors, there's only a small number of them, but there are different skills required to be good at distribution. You might be a salesperson who contacts the retail stores from the distributor. You might do some marketing. You might just be really good logistically. If you want to enter the industry on the retail side of things, you can do so as an employee, in which case you have to have standard retail skills. You need to know the product, you need to be friendly, all those things. If you want to start your own retail store, there's a whole different set of skills you need, some entrepreneurial types of skills. I will tell you that most new game stores don't make it. Most of them fail. But the ones that make it past year 2 or 3 tend to be able to go on forever and become very good businesses. So that's the three-tier system. There is one big issue I want to bring up here, and I don't want to get into a big long talk about cash flow. But inventory management is critical at each of those 3 levels. If you're a game publisher and you print a lot more copies than anybody ever buys, you're in serious trouble. If you are a distributor and you buy a lot of games from publishers and you don't manage to sell them to retail stores, you're also in trouble. And if you're a retail store and you have lots and lots of games on your shelf, but no one buys them, you're also in trouble. Well, when you decided to buy the copy of Boober, you could have bought it from your friendly retail store for $100, or you could have bought it online for like $80, saved yourself $20. Seems like a pretty obvious decision, but it really isn't. If you decide to only buy online and not support your local retail store, you shouldn't be surprised when your local retail store closes. And that might take away a place that's offering you a place to play, a place to meet other gamers as a social place, a place for you to discover. Remember, a good retail store, when you walk into it, they're going to help guide you to the games that you're going to like. They might even teach you to play with the demo copy. And if you spend all of your money at online stores, your local store might close. Now, I'm not telling you there's a moral right or wrong here. I mean, some people just don't live close to a retail store, and some people literally don't have that $20. That difference is everything to them. But how you spend your money does matter. Another thing you might notice is your favorite small publisher might not have their game at your local retail store. Why? Because maybe the distributor in the middle decided not to carry that publisher. And because there are so few distributors, if all those distributors decide not to carry, small company A, no one's going to be able to get those products at the retail stores. And that's happening more and more right now. So for those folks, the only way for you to get those games might be to buy it online. So that's how all the money flows in the tabletop game industry, and has for decades. That is right up until the advent of Kickstarter, which really, really impacted our industry in what can only be described as a very positive way. Next video is going to show how all the money flows through Kickstarter, and we're going to talk about how that changed the gaming industry forever, and if you want to jump into the gaming industry, what kind of new opportunities are available to you because of Kickstarter. In my time in the gaming industry, I've actually collected quite a lot of artwork from the games that I've worked on, and I've decided to auction 9 of those paintings off to raise money for hurricane and earthquake relief. These paintings are all from a couple of Games Workshop projects I worked on, collectible card games from my company, Sabertooth Games. There's a great set of paintings in there at every price range, including a tremendous painting by Wayne Reynolds and another really good one by Adrian Smith. And if you're a Games Workshop fan, you know how foundational Adrian Smith is to the Games Workshop universe. So head on over to eBay, bid, get some great paintings, and we'll raise some money for a good cause. Thanks, everyone. If you have any questions about the tabletop game industry or topics you want me to cover, put them down in the comments and I'll add it to the wall of ideas. Thank you.